Thank you for taking time this morning, Tamara, to come on this morning. It is so early this morning. Thank you for taking the time to answer a few questions. Tamara, what made you apply to take part in All That Glitters, and sort of what inspired you to take part?
When they were casting, I think summer 2019, they'd started casting, and I'd seen the casting call going around the industry grapevine, etc. And I was very unhappy at the time, professionally and personally, and spoke to my sister-in-law about it, and she persuaded me to apply. And she said, it might be the distraction you need. And I applied and got through all the various stages of application to the point where they said, because there's quite a few stages actually, to the point where they offered me the place. And by then I had an idea about what the format of the programme was going to be. And I thought, I'm probably going to learn an awful lot, and I will be pushed and challenged. And that would be a really cool distraction, and would probably be just the thing I need right now. So
it's the same sort of answer we've had, whereas perhaps we as jewellers don't feel perhaps that we're good enough, that our work is good enough, but other people can see what we do. And everybody so far has said, oh, I'm not going to enter, no. But they've always had partners or friends or family who go, no, come on, enter, you've got to enter it. And it's the same, isn't it? It's the same, everybody.
Yeah, and see what you get out of it.
Yeah.
The competitive aspect was, I feel, maybe for other women, but quite low down on the sort of list. But I would say definitely, even with the guys, we formed such strong bonds. We just wanted everyone to do well and make the best that they could, and enjoy the process and learn from it. Yeah, which we did, I think.
So everybody said that they've learnt so much.
Yeah. That's been the predominant thing, isn't it? And I just think what an amazing experience to... I mean, but then you've gone in with that attitude and that approach, haven't you? You've gone in thinking, I'm just going to see what I can get out of it, you know, professionally and from a learning experience.
So, like, I think I've been a jeweller quite a long time, like 24 years now, and I started learning 29 years ago. You can get into a stage of a bit of a rut where you feel a bit stale, etc., and not think you know it all, but you just feel a little bit comfortable where you are. So being pushed to my limits on particular challenges, making pieces, designing pieces I'd never even made before, using materials I'd never even made before. I mean, what a wonderful, luxurious experience to have, you know, learning experience, yeah.
The time limits for the challenges seemed really tough. Everyone's been completely shocked by the time constraints. How did you manage to plan your projects to finish in time?
I didn't plan. I mean, episode 1, I didn't plan at all. I hadn't thought it through properly, mismanaged my time, was far too ambitious, was trying to impress the judges too much. I learned the hard way, definitely. And it was only until I got to the second half of episode 2 with the brooch where I thought, just pull it all back, keep focused, keep it simple, and more than anything, just enjoy myself, because I wasn't enjoying myself up till then. So yeah, I learned very quickly that I had to just keep it simple. Yeah.
The judges loved your sweetheart brooch, your beautiful sweetheart brooch. What was the inspiration behind that? That was totally different to what everybody else had designed.
It was, wasn't it? I was kind of a bit surprised. I tend to work in a quite abstract way. So knowing the client's background was military, I just started looking and researching about brooches, and they all seemed for me a little bit too twee. That's just my opinion, that's all. And then I loved the idea of sort of military medals, and I thought, oh, that could be fun to sort of play around with that. And then the dental wire was actually, I discovered dental wire 25 years ago when I was at college, and my degree show I used to make brooches out of perspex with dental wire, and it's like a wonderful strong material to use. So I just messed around with that and played around with this ribbon effect, and I thought, oh, I think this is me. Or I was kind of thinking about the clients, but I thought this is my interpretation, so that's what I went with.
So it fitted in with your style?
Very much so, and I think I knew that I needed to start enjoying myself on the show, otherwise I was probably going to go, either being voted off, or I'd have just probably said, I don't think I can do this anymore. So I thought, just make something, enjoy it, make something for me. Yeah, and that's what I did, and it totally changed everything.
So unique, it was lovely.
It was lovely.
So if you had a chance to complete any of the challenges again, would you do anything differently?
I would have loved to have finished the chain collar, or made a loop chain collar, not as perhaps as detailed as my original design, but I could have actually made one with bigger links, and then it would have worked. I don't know why I didn't even think of that at the time. I was absolutely terrified. Again, the bangles, I could have simplified, if I could make those again, simple but more executed better, definitely. Cocktail ring I was pretty happy with.
That was amazing.
Very unusual.
Yeah, I just got into the flow with that, kept my head down and just got in the flow and just really enjoyed it. And again, kept it very, very simple. It was all about working with that material, the nut, and perfecting the finish of it and the shape and the texture, and then just the little red seed at the end. But I think some of the other jewellers were using loads of different materials, and I thought I just want to exploit just one material. So
But that's created a bit of a buzz on the forums now, hasn't it? Because of obviously the whole ivory issue, but am I correct in thinking it's like an ivory alternative, or like a
vegetable?
Yeah, organic. Yeah.
I got a really lovely message from a company on Thursday that sells fair trade products, including Tagua nuts. We have been inundated with sales overnight of Tagua nut seeds, and we didn't know why until we found out it's because of you. Thank you. We are a very tiny business, and you've made such a difference to us. That melted me. I just was so happy for them, and I just thought that was so cool and really lovely. They were like, "Why are our nut sales going through?"
But your Beetle Wings as well. We've been looking into getting some Beetle Wings, and because you've inspired so many people to think about these things which I'd never heard of.
Yeah, and it's not just simple, bit of plastic, bit of copper, no offence to the others, but it's nothing like that, or bit of wood. It's completely alternative materials. Okay, a few people have heard of them, but the majority of the mainstream haven't heard.
No, I've got quite a vivid imagination, so, and I've always taken, I guess, and also led quite an alternative, idiosyncratic life. But definitely have always taken an idiosyncratic approach to making. So, and that's very natural to me. It's not like I choose to do that to be different. I just come up, I just like doing things like that. It's difficult to explain.
So what made you interested in making jewellery, and what made you want to pursue it as a career?
I was always interested in art and design when I was young. My father, though, was a surgeon, so he never pushed me into going into being a doctor. But obviously, you know, being Southeast Asian, you're often pushed into being a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or something like that. And there's lots of surgeons in our family, but he just said, I don't care what you do, but just enjoy yourself and do it well. And I just enjoyed art, so I did A-level art, and then I went on to do an art foundation where you get to try lots of different things, like, you know, textiles, photography, etc. And I really enjoyed the intimacy and the detail of working in metal. So I just pursued something I enjoyed. And that's always been key, is just being able to enjoy myself. Yeah. And thankfully, I earn a living from doing that now, and I'm very grateful for that. Yeah.
It is lovely doing something that you love, that you can work every day and you enjoy what you do. Okay, I'm sure there's a few days when you just don't feel like it, but it is a great satisfaction out of loving what you do for a living.
Yeah, very much so. I couldn't think of anything else really I'd be doing.
So what impact do you think the show will have on the jewellery industry as a whole?
There's definitely been much debate within the trade, for all different reasons about the show. I hope it will, from the public point of view, shine a light on a very mysterious area, because jewellery is always shrouded in mystery. We never get to see normally what jewellers do, probably more because of like security reasons, etc. But I hope it gives insight to the public as to what goes into making a piece of jewellery that isn't manufactured in a factory, for example, and will help the public appreciate the work involved. And also, I hope the show is also showing that there's lots of different areas in the world of jewellery. It's not just somebody making a solitaire ring, a 1-carat diamond solitaire ring. It could be a jeweller doing more concept-based work. It could be somebody who is self-taught. It could be somebody art college trained like me. It could be somebody who's been apprenticed. So, and that will affect the type of jewellery you make. And in turn, I hope the public will appreciate the huge umbrella of the jewellery world.
Because benches aren't often seen. They're always hidden in dirty workshops, under the stairs. They're always out of sight. And we have a television in our shop showing, you know, some of the films that we do, some of the casting and so forth. And when that television went up first, someone said to me, aren't you afraid of people stealing your techniques? And then you think, no, that's not what it's all about. And because the work isn't seen doesn't mean that it's shrouded in mystery. And we've got to get this across, and definitely with this program, of what goes into fabricating a piece of jewellery. And you know, you were doing the casting, you know, fabricating plastics, copper, you were drawing down, you're rolling down. There's so much more to being a jeweller, being a creative artist.
Yeah. I really hope that when people see the workshop and the machinery, and I think with the chain collar, we had to draw down the wire, and people would be looking at it going, wow, what's that? And what's that machine? And how do they do that? And yeah, it obviously enhances people's buying experience, I hope, and makes them appreciate, yeah.
What challenges did you encounter working in an unfamiliar environment in terms of, say, the tools and equipment and the bench?
Sitting down at a bench that isn't yours makes you appreciate your own bench so much more. Because when you sit at your bench, you're coming home, aren't you? You're at home, you're safe, you're secure, everything's as it should be. Even if it's a complete mess, you know what that mess is. But, the torch, for example, where the tools are, the feel of the file in your hand, and the saw frame might have a slightly different weight. And it's really, really hard, much harder than I imagined. It takes some time to get used to, definitely.
I suppose your own tools feel a bit like an extension of you, don't they? They become, they become almost part of you, don't they, when you're working?
You kind of know that all your tools have their own little nuances, like your flat file, one side might have a little quirk to it that the other side doesn't have. And then, your hammer might be like, oh yes, well, if I hold it like that, it always does, just those kinds of things which you'd know.
And even the same piece of equipment, because Jason works next to me, has the Smith's little torch, and I have a Smith's little torch. But the controls on his are so loose compared to mine. And when you turn your torch on, you know exactly where to turn it and how much pressure. You go onto his bench, you turn it what you think is a little bit, and the flame just comes flying out. So even the same tool can have a different feel and a different, the way you work it.
Yeah, because you get used to that tool operating in a particular way. So you go to pick up someone else's tool, and it's like, you think there's something wrong with it. Probably not. It's just you're not used to using it, that's all. And you're like, I think there was a few times on the show I was like, my torch isn't working, like proper diva moment. And it was just slight adjustment, it was all fine.
So talking about tools and equipment, what tool can you not manage without?
My Smith's little torch is amazing. I only got it last year with my Oxycon machine as well, and I absolutely love it because doing fine, precise, concentrated soldering is a joy with it. I just want to turn it on all the time and do stuff. Sorry, was that me?
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Couple of files, perhaps. Oh, and my GRS thing.
Your benchmate.
My benchmate, yeah. I only got that last year too, and it is just amazing. It's just revolutionised making, and just having everything now in front of me, and you just swap things over. It's a joy. So, yeah, amazing what difference good tools can be, definitely.
Which technique would you most, and which technique would you least like to be asked to demonstrate? What's your favourite technique you would like to demonstrate to start off with?
I used to teach a lot as well years ago, so I'm trying to think what was the ones that I used to feel really easy about. I think soldering, I'm quite comfortable with sort of fine soldering. I can be quite focused. Setting, I still get really nervous about stone setting. Setting is something I'm always a little bit nervous about because I don't feel, I can set, but I don't feel that I'm setting as well as what I could be.
Setting in your own time without anybody watching you, and if you make a mistake, only you know and no one can see it. Yeah, I quite agree with that.
Yeah, setting is, you have to be so focused, I think. Slightest mistake can completely ruin it. So,
what materials do you most like working with?
18 karat yellow gold. I love it. It's just such a beautiful colour. It's just very easy to work with. It's very malleable. It's very flexible. It's like a very easygoing friend. Yeah. I really, really enjoy working with it, and you can do so much with it. That's my favourite material at the moment. Although I am beginning to enjoy platinum a bit more now as well. I've started to do a lot more stuff with platinum. And again, it's not as scary as what people think, I don't think. I'm no expert. I'm definitely no expert though. So,
But it's just a different way of working. You can't apply the same technique to platinum as you do gold. It's slightly different. When you cut it with a saw blade, it feels different. When you file it, it just feels different to gold. And polishing is a nightmare. You got to do so much preparation with it and so forth.
yeah, it's a good learning curve though, working with platinum. Yeah, very much.
So what was your favourite moment on the show?
I think it was the brooch when Shawn said I would wear that. Because I knew I was kind of in Last Chance Saloon on the second half of episode 2. I thought if I don't pull it out of the bag, I'll be going home and I would be miserable. And I really, again, sort of centered myself and focused on that brooch. I really enjoyed making it. And I remember sort of walking up, sort of feeling a little bit sort of, I've done it, like I've actually done it. Yeah, I haven't messed up. And I've actually made the brooch that I drew on the piece of paper. It's the same thing. And that was a big deal for me. And then but I was also a little bit nervous about what the judges would think, because I knew my brooch was very, very different to everyone else's. So I was a bit like, will they get that? Will they, is it too alternative? And they were really happy with it. And that was a big deal for me, definitely. Being understood, it felt like, yeah.
So some people think that Shawn and Solange seemed a little bit stern. Do you think this was a fair appraisal? We know workshops are potentially dangerous places, but what are they like in real life?
I don't think they were too stern. I think they were obviously concerned for people's safety, etc., and that was good. I also wonder whether they're not TV personalities. It's the first time we've done this show. They may have been quite nervous as well. In real life, they were much more relaxed and chilled out, definitely. And I wonder whether it was just maybe nerves. It can make you be a bit wooden, and that might come across as being a bit dour. I know that some people have ripped them apart on social media, and I feel really protective of everyone on the show and all of us and the whole show itself. We were all in it together for the first time, the jewelers, the judges, the presenter, the production team, so we all took a risk to do this show. We obviously all knew it was never going to please everyone. And we know what the jewellery industry is like. There's some tough people in the trade, but yeah, I am quite protective of the show. So no, they were lovely, and I really enjoyed their mentoring, I would say, because it felt like we were being mentored by them. But definitely, I didn't think they were stern. I've read some of the forums, and I've actually decided now, while the show is on, I'm still part of lots of various jewellery groups and forums, as I know you are. I've just unfollowed them while the show is on, because I've read things that I found quite upsetting and have made me, and I thought, I can't put all these fires out. I can't go out on a crusade to try and defend the show, and people have a right to have opinions, but I've got to sort of stay in the positive mindset while the show is on and put out positive vibes about the show, which is what I will continue to do.
Yeah, and I think as well, you've hit the nail on the head, and I've muted a couple of the groups on Facebook because the way that people have been spoken to, it like outside of the show as well, when it's nothing to do with the show, it's just...
And I think people forget it is made for television.
It's TV.
And it's in the editing as well, isn't it? It's how it was all edited, and there's that too.
Pill. If you've got, if that's the sort of things that I mean, like, just get a life. It's just me. Like, why get your knickers in such a twist about it? It's just, I just don't get it. Like, why people have to be so negative.
Yeah.
What are they getting? What are they gaining from it?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that we get asked about a lot by aspiring jewellers is, where do you start? What advice would you give to young people wanting to forge a career in jewellery and metalsmithing?
I would say try and, if you can, the thing is, I know it's hard trying to kind of look around a workshop or asking somebody, can you show me round, or go and ask jewellers, if you know of any jewellers, can I come and have a chat with you? If you have the opportunity to ask any jewellers you know and have a chat with them, just an informal chat about the path they've taken, that you can try that. It's really hard, isn't it?
It is, yes.
I think obviously now with the power of sort of social media, like your YouTube, for example, you can do an awful lot of research to see what people do in order to be a jeweler. In terms of training, there isn't I would say there's not one particular path, and the path I've taken isn't the right path for everyone. It could be that you decide to have a go at yourself at home, or you might, if you can still get an apprenticeship, or if you can go and do an evening class or like an adult education course. I think probably that would be the most sensible recommendation, I would say, is just go and do a little taster class. Even if it's a day course in jewellery making, make a ring or something like that. That will just give you a little taster. And I think you're going to find out reasonably quickly whether it's something you enjoy or not. Start small, I would say. Yeah.
There's so many routes, isn't there? That so many paths to take, that no one is the right or wrong one, is it? That's the thing.
I think a lot of people go to universities to perhaps learn how to design jewellery, how to make jewellery, and then who come out and expect to be halfway up the ladder already and jump into a job earning mega bucks just because they've got a degree behind them, but they don't have any experience.
I totally agree with you. And as somebody who has taken that path, I feel that I am only just scratching the surface now. I spent years and years and years just learning on the job, and I'm still learning. Yeah, so you come out of college maybe with a better sense of where you are in terms of a designer, your ideas and your concepts, but bench skills, God, you just got to knuckle down and practice. You really do. And that's years. That doesn't happen overnight where you can hone your bench skills. It's a really long process. And if you're willing to understand that, then you will get there.
So on to the future now. Can you imagine focusing on one area of jewellery making? And do you think the show has changed your direction?
The biggest takeaway for me from doing the show, it helped highlight my strengths and weaknesses. I think it gave me faith in the type of jewellery I was designing, that it was okay to do things a little bit differently, and that I am doing the right thing there. But it also highlighted gaps in my skills. That's what I'm trying to say. Particularly certain areas of my craftsmanship. So since filming, I have been trying to practice a bit of diamond mounting and improving my stone setting skills. Particularly because I use quite a lot of unusual shaped stones like uncut diamonds and semi-polished sapphires, and I struggle at times to make the mounts for them and to set them, and I'm now practicing that when I can. And if I hadn't done the show, I don't think I would have bothered to push myself and think, oh God, I really need to work on those skills. So I'm really like looking forward to developing those skills more. And again, it might be that I will only start seeing the benefits of practicing those skills 6 months or a year down the line, because I know it's going to take time. Yeah.
So it's given you an injection of life then, the show?
Definitely. It's renewed my passion in jewellery making.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's given me more faith in myself as well as a designer, because I was really struggling with that when we were filming. And again, doing things a little bit differently, you sometimes think, oh, what do people think of me? Or which you shouldn't think, but we all do. But yeah, I realised I'm definitely on the right path, and it's okay to be a bit different and do things a bit differently.
Well, it's been lovely speaking to you, and thank you for taking the time this morning.
Thanks for asking me. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Your answers have been absolutely inspirational. Thank you so much indeed.
Pleasure.
And don't forget, you can watch BBC Two's All That Glitters. It airs on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Alternatively, you can catch up on BBC iPlayer.